Book 1, Sky Dream Icy Worm. Chapter 4.4, Thunderbolt Baby. At this moment, the effects of Huo Yuhao's spiritual detection fully appeared. The reason that Baby could predict his opponent's movements and strike first was because of the spiritual detection that Huo Yuhao had shared with him. When the mandala snake sprung forwards, it fled diagonally to the left in front of Baby. However, at this moment, an enormous absorption force appeared in the path that it had taken in order to escape, and it was almost as if it had simply delivered itself right into Baby's hands. Once the enormous absorption force caught the mandala snake, its forward momentum was immediately dissolved, and it was sucked towards Baby. With the threat of life and death looming over its head, the mandala snake immediately exploded out with power. A fierce pink light immediately shone from the top of its head, and it let out several sharp hisses. The flower-like protrusion on the top of its head suddenly exploded, and an arrow made of pink blood flew straight at Baby. However, Baby had already responded to this in advance. The instant before the flower-like protrusion exploded, the thunderous dragon claw on his right arm had already launched a fierce attack. It landed on the body of the mandala snake in the same instant that the protrusion exploded. The arrow made of pink blood had only flown several inches before it was swept away by the explosion. However, Baby felt cold sweat form. The thunderous dragon claw that he'd released had actually turned pink when it touched the pink blood. If it weren't for the fact that he was able to predict his opponent's movements, and seize a decisive opportunity, it might have been very troublesome for him if he'd been infected by that blood arrow. Baby's figure flashed as he instantly charged forward. This time, the 1,000-year mandala snake had no countermeasures left. It was accurately grabbed by Baby's right claw when it was only 7 inches away from him. It still attempted to use its body to wrap around Baby's, but directly lost consciousness after being struck by the terrifying lightning from Baby's vigorous thunderbolt. The 1,000-year mandala snake was widely known for its tyrannical body and its lightning-like speed. However, once it fell into the hands of Baby, who possessed an extraordinarily powerful martial spirit, its defensive power wasn't worth mentioning at all. Under the state of thunderous fury, Baby's dragon claw let out a fierce blow, partially crushing its head. Its bones seemed as if they could be crushed at any time. Xiao Ya! Baby let out a low roar. Tang Ya naturally wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity. Carrying Huo Yuhao, she rapidly approached the mandala snake. A half-foot-long throwing knife appeared in her hand, which she then flung directly into the mandala snake's mouth that Baby had pinched open, ending the life of the 1,000-year mandala snake. The violet blue light from his lightning vanished as Baby finally relaxed, while a purple soul ring slowly condensed and formed above the mandala snake's head. Tang Ya looked towards Baby with an excited expression, and Baby nodded back at her. Quickly start. I didn't think that we'd meet a 1,000-year soul beast at the edge of the Great Stardew Forest. The quality of soul beasts in the Great Stardew Forest has really increased. Tang Ya giggled and said, I didn't think that it'd go this smoothly. Protect me. Whilst speaking, she rapidly sat down in a cross-legged position beside the mandala snake. A blue, gem-like luster shone in her right hand, and she slowly raised her empty hands. After gently tapping the purple soul ring above the mandala snake, it was immediately sucked into the blue light in her hand. Then, it merged with her body. The smile on Tang Ya's face suddenly vanished as she began to concentrate on absorbing the soul ring. Only now did Huo Yuhao realize that Tang Ya had already reached the bottleneck of the 30th rank. The reason why she and Baby had come to the Great Stardew Forest must have been to look for a suitable third soul ring for her. Only, what was teacher Xiao Ya's martial soul? A blue vine? Xiao Ya's martial soul is blue silver grass. Baby said gently, as if he'd seen through the doubt in Huo Yuhao's heart. Huo Yuhao was astonished as he replied, the blue silver grass? The same martial soul as the person in the Tang sect's legends? Baby nodded his head and said, 10,000 years ago, the first-generation sect master of the Tang sect relied on his blue silver grass martial soul to forge the Tang sect's glory. Afterwards, he became a god and left. However, he didn't leave any descendants in the Tang sect. For the sake of remembering him, The later generations of the Tang sect stubbornly glorified blue silver grass when choosing the next sect master. In addition to that, the Tang sect would put much more effort into nurturing soul masters who possessed blue silver grass. Unfortunately, the facts have proven themselves. Blue silver grass isn't something that just anyone can unleash great power with. Ever since the almighty legend of the Tang sect left, the Tang sect hasn't had any more experts with blue silver grass that were able to stand at the pinnacle of the continent. However, this tradition has continued to be passed down, and nobody can change it. Xiao Ya's innate talent to use her blue silver grass is already rather good, so I hope that she can make some sort of a breakthrough. Huo Yuhao was slightly curious as he asked, eldest senior brother, if that year's Tang sect was truly as strong as the legends say, why did it head down the road of decline? Baby smiled slightly and replied, you'll gradually understand the answer to this question once you arrive at Shrek Academy. There were many internal and external problems. Currently, the only people left in the Tang sect are the few of us, but in fact, this isn't a bad thing at all. At the very least, it'll be very hard to use certain restrictions on us. On the contrary, junior brother, you've truly given me a great surprise. Huo Yuhao naturally understood that BB was referring to the soul skills that he'd just used. He couldn't help but scratch his head in embarrassment. I was just trying to use it, it's good that it was a bit helpful. BB firmly said, how could that only be considered a bit helpful? I don't normally have the assurance to face 1,000-year soul beast. If it weren't for that fantastic assistance from your spiritual power, it would have been very hard for me to escape in one piece. Previously, when his confrontation with the Mandala snake had reached its last crucial point, he'd relied on Huo Yuhao's spiritual detection skill to help him accurately predict the Mandala snake's every movement. Not only that, but the most important moment was when the Mandala snake had detonated its crown. The moment before it happened, BB had clearly felt a kind of bright feeling surround the Mandala snake's crown within the spiritual detection world. He hadn't been able to see it with his eyes at all. This all came from the feeling that he'd felt from the three-dimensional world of Huo Yuhao's spiritual detection. Because of this, he'd been able to near instantly react subconsciously. If not, he might not have been able to retreat in one piece if the toxic blood had polluted him. This also made BB aware of how enormous of a role Huo Yuhao's skill had had during the battle. He made a conservative estimation, if he had the assistance of Huo Yuhao's skill during a fight with an opponent, his overall strength would be increased by 20 to 30% minimum. This was a phenomenal increase. Furthermore, this was only Huo Yuhao's first soul skill. Huo Yuhao still had some lingering fear in his heart as he said, that snake was truly too fierce. Eldest senior brother, what soul beast was it? BB replied, it's called a Mandala snake, and its toxicity is extremely strong. Not only does it have a numbing effect, it also has a strong destructive effect towards one's mental state. It was one of the most terrifying existences amongst poison-type soul beasts. Its body was extremely tough, and ordinary blades will have difficulty wounding it. Its only weaknesses are its mouth and eyes. However, the Mandala snake will always protect these two extremely well. Furthermore, its speed is incomparably quick. However, the most terrifying part of this snake is its attack. Once it clearly identifies its opponent, it rarely gives up,